Anyway, all right, here's the thing on Bill O'Reilly. Bill O'Reilly has had an ongoing kind of snide feud with Ron Paul. And I was just looking for some sound bites last night and came across this one kind of by accident, and the direction they took this was just weird.
And Bill has a little problem with economic understanding. Have you noticed that? He doesn't pronounce, the words quite correctly, and he admits it, that he doesn't know much about it.
Well, enlighten us. Well, what is your idea of what we should do with gold? Is it all in Fort Knox, or should we start digging it up?
I just said we should obey the Constitution, make gold and silver legal tender. Why doesn't he care, or anybody care, about the Constitution? Right now, nobody legalized paper money. Where did it come from? They just ignore it. They talk about the Constitution when it pleases them, but when it doesn't please them, like going to war without a declaration.
Now, I have read the Constitution. It doesn't say anything about gold and silver. What is he talking about?
He's misreading the Constitution, and this theory of his has been around for quite some time. It's just not taken very seriously in most circles. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution says Congress has the ability to coin money and regulate the currency, and doesn't say anything about gold and silver.
Right.
What I think he's saying is that Article 10 does not allow the states to print money. And that's just because you don't want to have Massachusetts having one currency and New York having another. That's chaos.
Right.
And he's misinterpreting that.
Okay, and also there is a part of that in the states thing that says if they're going to have any coinage at all, that has to be simpatico with the United States. They have to use gold or silver. They can't use, mutton to do that.
Right.
All right, so I know that I, according to him, don't understand economics, but I think I understand the Constitution a little bit, because in 1971 we went off the gold standard under President Nixon into the Federal Reserve notes because we were a worldwide currency. And remember, everybody, before that you could redeem your money for gold and silver, and government simply couldn't do it now. So what are we to think of Ron Paul? I mean, is he a loon? I mean, what are we to think of him when he comes up with this kind of stuff? I don't really know.
That is such a bollocksed up mess. Oh, yeah, we went off the gold standard in 1971 because we were a world currency. No, we went off the gold standard in that era because the buzzards in Washington were doing exactly as they're doing now, inflating the currency, and foreign powers looking at the ripoff, because they'd invested in U.S. dollars, say, hey, if you're going to print money like that, we're just going to come and get your gold because it's redeemable. That stuff's worth something. Your toilet paper you call $1 is worth less. It has nothing to do with that the fact that it was a world currency. It was that generation of politicians were doing exactly what this generation was, printing the bejeebers out of it. In fact, we're doing it a lot more now than ever contemplated back then. But the French said to us, if you're going to do this to our investments, that is the debt money that we have bought from you, we're just going to come and get gold. And Nixon said, no, you ain't. Closing the gold window. Had nothing to do with the fact it was a world currency. All right. So how do we talk about this? How do I introduce this? All I have to do is open my smart book. See, it's not the fact that I'm so smart. I just know what the history is. And I know what the history is because I've got a really smart book. And it's The Making of America. It goes right back to the Constitution about what the people were talking about when they debated these issues. And Article 1, Section 8, the people of the states empower the Congress to coin money and regulate the value thereof, and also of foreign coins. And here's what they were debating. It was decided that they would only mint gold and silver coins as money. And G. Morris, in the middle of the debate, moved to strike out because they originally were going to, quote, allow to emit bills of credit. That's paper money. Paper money. G. Morris spoke up and said, move to strike out and emit bills on the credit of the United States. If the United States had credit, such bills would be unnecessary. And if they had not, it would be unjust and useless. That's really a cool argument. It says, hey, we don't have to emit bills of credit because if we had any, we wouldn't need it. and if we didn't have good credit, the phrase would be dangerous. Ellsworth thought this was a favorable moment to shut and bar the door against paper money. The mischiefs of the various experiments which have been made were now fresh in the public mind and had excited the disgust of all respectable parts of America. By withholding the power from the new government, more friends of influence would be gained to it than by almost anything else. Paper money can in no case be necessary. Give the government credit and other resources will offer. The power may do harm and never good. Wilson stood up and said it will have a most salutary influence on the credit of the United States to remove the possibility of paper money. The expedient can never succeed while the mischiefs are remembered, and as long as can be resorted to, it will be a bar to other resources. Butler got up and remarked that paper was a legal tender in no country in Europe, and he was urgent for disarming the new government of such a power. Wow. And a guy named Reed got up and said, thought the words, if not struck out, the words emit bills of credit, that is paper money. Listen to this carefully. Thought that those words, if not struck out, would be as alarming as the mark of the beast of Revelation. So they thought they didn't want to have that in the Constitution because it would be apocalyptic. Langdon got up, had rather reject the whole plan, that is the new Constitution, than retain those three words and emit bills. He said, we'd rather have no government at all, no Constitution at all, if you allow paper money into existence. That's just to get started. I mean, they went on and argued. They thought they were locking the door, and when you're talking about the state shall coin, no state shall coin money and emit bills of credit either. It's in there. You can't do that. And also, the state shall accept or make, no state shall make anything but gold and silver coin, a tender in payments of debts. They wanted to slam the door on banks emitting bills of credits and then requiring the people who hold the debts and paying them back to pay for their debts in fake money at the state level. They tried to slam the door on fake money at the national level and tried to slam the door on fake money at the state level too. And to consider this a new and untested and untried and weird, loony idea, call Ron Paul a loon on that basis, that's bizarre. Back in a moment.